In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Adobe Express to make some graphics. So these could be an introduction graphic to show who you are, it could be an infographic, or it could be like a graphic organizer worksheet that your students work through. We're going to use Adobe Express, which you don't even have to download. You just log on to the website, new.adobe.express.com, and there's already stock photos, video, lots of icons and design aspects that you can use pre-built into it. So let's give it a go. Okay, so this is Adobe Express. This is the homepage that you get to when you log in. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. I'm going to take you through some quick functions just to get to make a graphic. And with lots of these Adobe products, you're looking for this blue plus button up here. And that means we're going to add something in, we're going to create something new. Let's click on it. There are lots of kind of suggested things that you could do down here, which they'll preload in the right kind of dimensions for you. Let's just go with landscape at the moment. So this 16:9 format, it's going to be the same as a normal PowerPoint slide or a widescreen for a video. So it's a really kind of versatile set of dimensions. It's giving me lots of suggestions of templates I could start with. I'm going to get rid of them for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making a graphic to introduce me as a teacher. So first thing we want to do is add a background image, and we're going to use the Adobe stock photography for this. Let's click on media in the left-hand sidebar. So all of these things in the left hand are going to be able to add new things into your project. We've got photos selected here, and I am going to search for bakery. So lots of images here that we can all use. And I'm going to select on this one here. And I'm going to move it around and just make sure that it's going to fill up my canvas area. So I can drag it out. Excellent. There we go. Great. One thing I want to do is, because it's moving around a lot whenever I accidentally click on it, once I've got it into position, I've got it selected, you can see those kind of little blue borders around the outside. I can go and I can just lock it in place. And that means that whenever I click on it, it's not going to move anywhere. And I'm not going to accidentally bump it out of the way. Excellent. So there's the background. Let's add a picture of the teacher so the students know who to expect on day one. Again, let's go back to media. This time, rather than looking for a stock image, I'm going to upload from my device, and I'm just going to add in a little profile photo here. Here we go. So this is who they're going to be looking for when they're wandering around the halls, trying to find out where to go on day one. There I am. And it's kind of blocking out the background here. So that kind of lovely benchtop surface has gone missing. So what I want to do here to make the most of that image is to go to this remove background function. So I've got my photo selected, I've got the blue border around it. So now it's going to let me do these adjustments to it. I'm going to click on remove background, and the lovely bit of code is going to do its thing and detect that blank space, get rid of it for me, and there it is. And it's a much more kind of cohesive composition now. Excellent. You can do a few other things to adjust if you like. I'm going to use the erase function here. And I'm going to use a circle brush, and I'm just going to get rid of some of this dorky hair at the side. There we go. And there might be something else that you want to get rid of in your photos, but that's just going to let me tidy that up. And I can click the blue done button there. Great. So I've got two images. It's one stock and one of your own. Now the students kind of know what they're studying and who the teacher is. Let's add in some text to help explain it. So I'm going to the text function in the sidebar. Again, lots of templates suggested, but I'm going to go straight to add your text. And let's say, welcome to baked goods. Right, now, here's my text. I can't really see that very well in the background. Let's change this and make it better. So again, I've got my text selected here. I can change the color of that. So I could change it into white. I can change the font up here to any font that I like. But importantly, what I've done here is I've also added the CIT branding information, and I can add you to my brand information here, or you can add your own, but I've got the CIT fonts preloaded in here. So I'm going to choose one of these heading fonts. Great, that's the font that we like to use here at CIT for headings. And down in my fill colors, I've got the CIT branded colors also preloaded in there. So I want to use this navy color here. But again, that's not going to stand out very well against my background. One tool that I like to use, particularly when I've got a busy photo background, is I scroll down to the shape function. And what I'm going to do is put one of these just background shapes behind my text so that it stands out really nicely from the background. Again, I can go to my shape fill, and I'm going to choose this CIT teal color here. Great, and now that's standing out nicely from the background, and I'm also using all the CIT branding. If you've got access to my CIT brand, or if you've created one yourself, I can also go into my stuff here. I can add any other project information that I've created here, but I'm going to go to my brands and libraries, and I'm going to add in one of my CIT logos here. There we go. Now let's add in some extra text, and I'm going to add some shapes to cover the background a little bit to make that our new text stand out. So this time I'm going to go down to the elements box. Under elements, you've got lots of options. You can see up the top here, you've got design assets, which is illustrations. You've got backgrounds, and I'm going to go to shapes. The most useful things here are shapes and icons. And I'm going to add a rectangle shape, which again, I can edit and change all of its properties. Once I've got that, I'm going to go back to my text and add in my information. So again, I can be just arranging and shrinking this text. I can also be doing that in the sidebar. I'm going to make sure it's left aligned there. Excellent. And I'm going to add an icon in here too to say that this is when we're starting. So I'm going to go back to elements. Previously, we did shapes here, and now I want to go next door to icons and add an icon that says starting or indicates our journey here. Here we go. I've got those pink lines just helping me with my alignment and centering. Great. So there's a nice little chunk of information there. Any of these elements, if you want to use them again and you like what you've done there, I can click on that and then go up to the very top plus button to duplicate. So the plus button here is just going to make a copy of anything that you've got selected. The other thing I can do is to group different elements together that I've put together. So I've got my text here. I've got my logo here. I can click down Shift and select two things at once. And now I'm going to click on Shift and select the shape as well. Now that I've got more than one thing selected, right up here, you'll be able to see I've got this group function. And that means that it's going to lock those all together as one group so that they don't all move around separately and get out of whack. Again, I can also duplicate that as well. So I duplicated my first little group, and now I've just changed that around so that I've got two sections of information here. One is where it's located when we're going to start, and the second one is what you need to bring. So this is a great example of how we're going to use lots of different pieces of visual information in an infographic. We've got photos, we've got text, and we've got some basic icons, and that's going to give us a nice visual way to digest that information. Great. Now, another thing we can do is have our information layered. So I've got this sign here, And you can see here, it's kind of covering over my head. And I'm a bit too vain, so that's not cool. So what I can do is on the right-hand side over the far end, I've got this stack of all the elements that I've added in. And if I want to make sure that my head isn't obscured, I can just grab my text that says welcome to baked goods, drag it underneath, and now you can see that the text is behind my head there. Whoops. There we go. So it's always going to be behind there. If I wanted to change that back, I can always just drag the photo behind, and then that's how you can adjust that order of layers. Great. A couple other things that I'd probably do here is put in the little teacher name below me, but that's a really good starting off infographic to send out to students to have on your welcome page for eLearn so that they know who they're looking for, where they've got to go, and what they need to bring. Now, let's say you're really happy with this, but you've got 4 more subjects that you've got to deliver. What we can do is duplicate this whole thing and just edit some of the details. Adobe Express is going to make like a multi-page graphic document. So up the top here, we've got view all pages. We've currently only got one here, but what I want to do is actually just make a copy of this one so that then I can go to this copy and change it to a new subject, and I can then unlock my background image and then click replace. If there's a nice little replace button there, you could always just delete it and add a new one, but I am going to replace it. Great. So we've then created 2 graphics for 2 different subjects. There's a few other things that we can look at here. We can always like resize it, and it's going to suggest all these different kind of preloaded sizes. Importantly, we can use this function here to zoom in or out if you need to kind of make it a little bit smaller to see where your edges of the image are. Here's your pages. That's going to hide or show your layers. That's how you delete something. Okay, so here we go, and let's now download this. I can download one page at a time, so it's just going to download this page, or I could download all of them and it will kind of zip them together in a file. I like to choose JPEG if you're going to be using it on eLearn because it's going to be a slightly more compressed file. That will then go to your downloads folder on your computer, and you can then upload it into Ella to use. It's going to be saving my file as we go. I can add a title here. So subject intro. And then when I go back to the home page, when I go to the folder of your stuff, it's going to come up as the most recent one here. And I've got all this other stuff that's all stacked there or in folders that I've created up the top. So have a go and see how you can incorporate images, text, and graphics together to make something that's going to be informative and useful for your students.